Now we're going to go more controversial with my photograph. You can't see it as well here, but there are women standing on a balcony, and they were in their home clothes. And people were not very happy with me taking this photo. And I'm sure most of you know why. Because there's a big idea in Egypt, or I don't know how to explain this. People are afraid of photographing women, specifically. And there's a lot of tension around photographing women. So people, of course, also told me, you should take down this photo because they're in the balcony, they're at home, and you didn't ask their permission. But I beg to differ, because this was taken during the Seyda Zeynep Moulid. Yes, I'm crazy, and I went to the Seyda Zeynep Moulid by myself at night.
With a camera.
With a camera, exactly. But I love the Seyda Zeynep Moulid, I have to say, and I go every year. So I met somebody at the Moulid. He told me, you're crazy. I will help you, guide you around so that you are safe. So I was like, okay. So he took me around. And instead of staying in the bigger streets where the big Moulid is happening, he actually took me to all the little alleyways and side streets where all the local people were having parties, which I thought was way more interesting. So in one of these streets, there were hundreds of men in the street dancing to electroshopping music. And these women were on the third floor balcony watching them. So being a foreign woman, it is impossible for me to photograph in Egypt without everybody staring at me. Like, everywhere I go, it's as if there's a big announcement, this is where the foreigner is, everybody stare at her, you know. I have a lot of photographs actually where literally every single person in the photograph is staring at me. So it's very difficult for me to be invisible. Also, I was photographing this using my DSLR. So it's a camera actually the same that I'm being filmed with right now. It's not small. So the woman saw me. The woman saw me, and they were okay with me photographing. So, and also, it wasn't just me seeing them. It was the hundreds of men in the street that could also see them, and they did see them. So it's interesting to me that people become very judgmental on social media and say, I demand that you take this photo down, when to me, my opinion is, it was her decision to stand there and to look down at these men in the street and to look down and see me, and she was okay with being seen this way. So it was her who decided how she was going to be portrayed. And it's not anybody else's right to decide how she should be portrayed. I hope that makes sense. Also, legally speaking, I have a press card. So I'm allowed to photograph from the streets. So I went to the Cairo press office in Maspero, and I filled out an application, and they sent my application to the State Information Service, and they checked me out, and they gave me a press card. So legally speaking, the Egyptian government knows that I'm photographing in the streets. So that's a very heavy subject. Which also, the reason why I keep going on about this is that even this morning, I posted a photograph on Everyday Egypt of girls smoking shisha in Fishawi, in Kana Khalili. And if you check right now, there are more than 1,300 people who liked the photo, but there are also more than 100 comments of people telling me to take the photo down. So it's a very sensitive subject in Egypt. And every single time that we post photographs of women, every single time we get all of this discussion of like, do we have the right to photograph them or not? And what can happen to the girl with her photo being on social media? So it's very interesting, and there's a lot of tension kind of on the subject.
It's about the culture itself.
Yeah, it's about the culture. And at first, actually, with this photograph, when people were telling me that I should take it down, I asked all the Egyptian photographers in Everyday Egypt, "What do you think? Maybe I'm making a mistake. You know, maybe this is just how it is in Egypt." But all of the photographers in our group, it's more than 20, were telling me, "No, like this is unfortunately how it is when you photograph in Egypt." People are very opinionated about what they think should or should not be allowed to be photographed in Egypt. But I not only have sad stories, I also have happy stories. So to tell you some stories about some photographs that I took. This first one is a very simple one. I was going home in a taxi, and I loved the taxi driver's display with the Hamsa, because I really liked the Hamsa. So the entire time in a taxi, I was thinking, should I ask him if I can photograph it? Should I? Because I would have to reach in to photograph it. And when he stopped, I was like, okay, I have to do it. So I told him, like, I really love your display. I want to photograph it. So I took the photo, and then he's like, here, take it. Take the Hamsa. I'm like, no, I just want to photograph it. No, take it. So now I have this Hamsa hanging in my living room because he insisted that I take it. And now comes my favorite story that really kind of shows the power of photography and of social media. So I was working on a project about nightlife on the Nile. So I was going around on the Corniche, photographing families, eating lunch, or people on the boats partying. And as I was walking on the Corniche, this girl just came up to me and just stood like this. So I was like, okay, I'll photograph her. And then right after that, her family came around her, and they all started talking to me. And it turns out that they were from a village, and they were just in Cairo for one day to see the Nile and to go to, I think they went to the Citadel. So they were very excited to talk to me, and they told me, you know, the city, it's very different from where we're from. We really want to show you our village. So me being a former photographer, I never had a chance to go to a village. I was like, okay, I will go to your village. So I went the next week. And that's the grandpa of that little girl. And he has 4 sons. And their youngest son is called Yahya. And he's not married yet. وهو مهندس يعني. So all of the women of the family were all trying, like, Yahya, sit next to him, Yahya. So Yahya also is really into photography. So he actually took this photograph, and I thought it was very funny, so I posted it on my Facebook. And he also, of course, added me on Facebook. And a lot of people liked this photograph. So Yahya went through the people who were liking the photograph, and he saw a name, Maha. And then he went to her profile, and then he saw that she lives in the village next to him. So they started talking on Facebook, and before you know it, they are married. So I like to say that I am a very good Cupid. I brought these people together with the help of social media and photography. So since then, I'm very good friends with their family. And I go over to their village all the time. And these photos that I take at their village, I post to Everyday Egypt. So this was during their wedding, actually. It's some other kids of the family playing in the alleyway. And the girls preparing to go outside for the wedding. And this was at another time when I came to visit them, because Maha was pregnant and she now had her baby. And I really like this one. So the TV service was very bad. So the grandpa decided to go up and fix the satellite. And I don't know if you can see it very well in here, but there's a line of kids in front of that car because there's people in the living room downstairs yelling to the kids outside who are yelling to him, saying that the TV service is good or not. So there's a lot of nice things in photography as well. So if any of you are interested in ever being featured on Everyday Egypt, I recommend that you post your photos to Instagram and use the hashtag #EverydayEgypt, because every Friday we have a Follow Friday where one of our contributors chooses 1 to 4 images to repost on Everyday Egypt. And if we see enough good photography of yours, we might invite you to join us. And that's it.